You are listening to Toronto's only pure metal show, The Red Switch.
Well, first of all, Chris, I want to thank you for calling in, talking to us today on the Red Switch. It's always a real treat when we get to speak to a guitar icon.
Oh, my God, thank you.
Well, you've been in the music business for some years now. Although the name Chris Poland may not ring a bell for some, a few groups you've played for might, though. And what are some of these groups you've played for?
Well, probably Megadeth would be the most famous band that I was a part of. But also I played bass in the Circle Jerks, which is something I was very proud of. And I was lucky enough to be approached by Chris Adler, the drummer for Lamb of God, to play on a couple of their records. And then I had a band called Damn the Machine, and we got a deal with A&M Records, and we had fun. We did North America and Europe, and it was a blast. And there's a bunch of other stuff I've done, but right now Ohm is my main project. But I love all that stuff that I've done, and especially the Megadeth stuff. People say, "Oh God, you still like metal?" And I'm like, it took me a long time to realize, just how individual Megadeth was, because there was so many other things going on inside the personalities of the band, where you're not hearing the music, you're just playing parts and doing what you're supposed to do, but eventually it all comes to you, in a moment of clarity, I guess is the way you can put it. But anyway.
Ohm is markedly different from your previous works, such as, obviously, Megadeth. Is there a hook somewhere that'll get even Megadeth fans interested in your recent works?
In the Ohm band, of course, man. There's one thing that Ohm has, and that's really high energy. And we have a lot of peaks and valleys, and it's there's extremes, and there's very soft parts, and I think there is a thread that is, that has that energy, because it's just something that you can't, just leave behind. So it comes across in my writing, and the people that I play with have the same mentality and musical, I guess, soul that I have, and it just, we all work in that type of music together. So yeah, the energy really comes across, and I think, basically, we could open for Megadeth and actually, didn't pull it off. So.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be so, I guess.
No, it wouldn't be a weird thing at all, because I'm all about, a lot of my rhythm parts are just basically the tone I used in Megadeth anyway. So.
Not to make this all about Megadeth, but there's some interesting history behind this. You worked a little while ago with Megadeth on their album "The System Has Failed." That was back in 2005. I would have figured there would have been some residual animosity between you guys. How did that end up happening?
Well, no, that was great. And we worked together, and it was just like I never left, and I got to meet a really great producer and engineer, and his name is Ralph Patlin. And he basically helped me through that whole session with, of course, Peter Sardelich, my co-producer, came down to that session with me just to, give his 2 cents about my performances and stuff. So, but as far as me and Dave, when that whole thing happened, it was great. We worked just like we did on the first 2 records. It was basically, he would just point up and down the neck and say, do something crazy up here, do a little something down there, and I'd be like, okay. And, it was basically and then once I got he would go, yeah, that's what I'm looking for, I'd say, and then I would just make it my own.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, there was some tension afterwards, because, stuff was released without my permission, and that's a whole different thing, but, I don't want to get into that right now.
Once you start getting lawyers involved, it never ends up very pretty.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, it's it is what it is, It's and
Going back to what you mentioned.
Honestly, to tell you the truth, I'm not sure that it had anything to do with Dave at all. It was I couldn't even get in touch with Dave. And it took me so long to finally say, you know what, if I can't get in touch with Dave, then it's on you. And you is usually their attorneys and managers. So
it is a business, right? It is a business.
Well, that end of it is.
Yeah, that part of it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to what you mentioned earlier with the popular heavy metalers, Lamb of God, you got to add some guitar solos to that. Their last album, or second last album, Ashes of the Wake, and As the Palace Burns. How was it that you got to work with them in the first place?
You know what? I was in the back of a Suburban, pulling a trailer full of gear, changing my strings on my way to a sound check, and Chris Adler called my cell phone.
Oh.
And asked me if I wanted to do it, and I was like, "Of course I want to do it."
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, we get the CD, and I stick it in my CD player and at my studio, and I turn it on, and I was just like, "Oh my God!" I felt like my whole world was in slow motion. I was like, "You got to be kidding me, man!" But one thing that I did hear was they have the essence of like the thing that made Megadeth blow up.
Mm-hmm.
They had that, and I know it was because they cut their teeth on that, and they left that all behind. But that little fingerprint has stayed with them, and there's something about their writing that reminds me of Megadeth. It's like Megadeth on steroids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's fast. It's very fast.
And so but I was so once I heard it, even Sardalich told me, "Man, you're gonna need a quad cappuccino, man." and so basically I did, and we worked on that the first time they sent me the track. I did what I could, and luckily the second track wasn't as intense.
Yeah.
But no, I was very happy that they would even tip their hat, because those guys, they don't need anybody's help,
Yeah, they're a phenomenal band. They're really good.
Yeah. So, and I'm still, I owe them because, they put my name back out there, to a bunch of new, music listeners, and I really appreciate that.
Speaking of which, is there any current bands right now that you wouldn't mind working with as well?
Actually, I don't mind doing a solo here and there, or even, just doing a clinic and just jamming with guys, or doing a jam band thing like we did with the guys from Humphreys McGee, where we just get together for a weekend and drink coffee and eat pizza and play for 10 hours a day, and then make a record out of it. But as far as like joining a band, I'm so like trying to focus on this the Ohm thing right now, because I want to get as many ideas to tape and out, where they can be heard as possible. You know what I mean? I just want to get these ideas down and make CDs and get deals for them and just get this stuff out there, because this is what Robertino Pagliari and Kofi Baker and myself, it's what we're focused on right now. So I kind of have blinders on as far as any other musical band goes.
So Ohm right now is the first thing on deck.
Right, but if somebody, I don't care who you are. If you call me up and I like your track, if you want me to do a solo on it, you talk to my manager, and then I do it.
Yeah. What I've noticed is a lot of the old school guitar players weren't normally trained by conventional teachers, but rather used the self-taught method. How did you get to this skill level of playing right now?
Oh, I was self-taught. I would put on, all the usual suspects. Hendrix, Clapton, Page, Beck, Leslie West, Robin Trower, just, anybody that when I was a kid, and I would just put their record on and sit down and jam with it and just say, okay, I'm in this band right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I would just fake it, and eventually, you find guys to play with, whereas, actually Gar found me. I was having a burger with my friend, and Gar walks up to me, and we're, and I'm going to say this because everybody knows Gar and Megadeth and our history. I'm sitting at some, not an IHOP, but some crazy place like that in the town I grew up in. And Gar walks in, and he goes, "Hey, you're Chris Poland, huh?" I go, "Yeah." And I didn't have long hair. I was just still kind of a geeky kid. And Gar's got, long hair, and he's all dressed like a hippie. And so he starts throwing joints at me. And he's going, "Why don't you come over to my house and let's have a jam session?" And my friends are looking at me going, "Man, who are these freaks?" And there was all these guys with really long hair, man. And